Hello, 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 and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. Come on in, get settled, get a seat. I've got some great stuff for you tonight. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based lifestyle. Let me say that one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food, plant based lifestyle. Come on in, welcome. Let's get started and jump right in. I am so excited, I can hardly contain it. I've got a big surprise for you guys. It's coming up at the end, but let's take care of some business first. The title of my talk this evening is The Hidden Power That Shapes Your Entire Future. Let me say that again. The hidden power, which means it's power you already have, it's power you possess, the hidden power that shapes your entire future. As many of you know, I am always looking for a pop culture reference, and I am obsessed with the one and only otherworldly deity, goddess in and of herself, brilliant mind in acting, Viola Davis. If you have not seen the movie The Woman King, please, by all means, see it multiple times. I've forgotten how many times I've watched it. I just love her. I love what she does in the movie. I love what the movie is about. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up, I'm talking about hidden power. At the very beginning of the movie, one of the first shots, maybe the first shot, you see her rising up out, she's in the fields with some grass or wheat or whatever it is. And she and the rest of the woman warriors are rising up and she's holding this machete. And the voiceover mentions that uh, they are these warriors, they are these people that are this force that people don't know about, right? And they refer to Viola and the rest of the ladies as a secret weapon. And I thought, my God, they're you don't need anything else, right? They come up with these machetes, and then of course they take over this village, and these unsuspecting men meet the business end of these machetes, and it's just brilliant and it's just great. Now I bring that up for a couple of reasons. One, I like the fact that these women and the people in the movie who were in this part of Africa clearly had not been colonized as of yet. They didn't have British accents. So that's just a side note. I'll bring that up later. That's nothing to do with what I'm talking about tonight. I digress, but I thought that was a very nice, subtle touch. They did not have a British accent, which means they had not been colonized as of yet. Now, the reason I'm talking about that movie, the reason I'm bringing it up, and I do have a reason, like I always do, is that they have this secret weapon, something that nobody was expecting, something they had worked on and honed and practiced for a number of years, and who knows how long they had been working with this army, putting this together, right? And I want to talk about the secret power that we have, the hidden power that we have that shapes our entire future that we don't talk about nearly enough. And I have decided, after much thinking and much deliberation, as they say, that this is the number one thing that keeps us either unhealthy or healthy. And it is the power, the power that is belief and our mindset, right? I don't think you can do anything until you change your belief system. I don't think you can make any kind of sustainable transformation until you change your beliefs. If there is some area of your life that isn't working, if there is some area of your life that's giving you drama and grief and a bunch of mishigas, so mashuganum, however you want to look at it, malarkey, there is some belief that needs to be examined, challenged, and probably changed. So I'm going to talk about that. Let me give you a quick example or two. Now, as many of you know, I talk come in every week and I talk about health and how I got off my medication. Now, I got off the medication not from my own, just coming up with it on my own, right? I got off the medication because I decided I didn't want a lifetime of medication. I didn't want a lifetime of having to deal with pills and having to be chained or burdened with trying to figure something out if I had to jump on a plane and go somewhere and do something, right? Or if I had to, something happened and I couldn't get to my medication. Like we were in COVID 5 years ago when I started this whole process. So I think about what would have happened if I couldn't have gotten to the hospital. What would have happened? What did happen to people who maybe didn't have 6 months worth of medication stashed away? How did they survive? What did they do? So I want to talk about that. Now, I got off my medication and I changed my health because of a belief system, because of a really hardcore, would not let me sleep. Something that kept me up all night, every night was a belief that I was not going to be a statistic. I didn't care that I was Black. I didn't care that I was male. I didn't care that I was in my 50s. I was not going to be a statistic, period, end of subject, point blank. Now, I also didn't know what that meant, what that entailed, and how I was going to do it because I didn't know anybody else who'd done it. And everything around me, and most of the people around me were telling me, that is just the way that it is. Now, here's an interesting fun fact. My mom, who helped me get off the medication, my mom told me, or I thought what she said, was that she was not on her, she was no longer on blood pressure medication. Now, this is what I thought. So in my head, what I heard was, what the belief became was, well, she did it, I can do it. This is somebody that I know who did it, somebody I know personally, the person who birthed me. She did it, I can do it, it can be done. It's a possibility. I started thinking about different possibilities. So I just latched onto that belief, latched onto that thought, latched onto what I believed I heard, and I started working my magic, trying to figure out how to make sure I got off the medication. What do I need to do? That led me to a wonderful coach, Lisa A. Smith. Shout out to Lisa A. Smith at the Plant Protocol. So my mom told me she was working with her. So I said, well, let me find her. I got into that class and I kept working and kept working. Found out all these different things to do to get off the medication. And I started doing them, right? Now, it took me a while. It took me, I would say, about a year, year and a half. And finally, I was able to get off my medication. Now, here's the funny thing. This is what I said as a fun fact. Up until last year, this is 2025, up until last summer, 2024, 2.5 years after I started this process, I was having a conversation with my mom. And she kept asking me about how I got off my medication. So finally, after about the second or third time she brought that up, or she said that, I said, why are you asking me this? And she confided to me that she was not off of her medication. And I was shocked. I said, what do you mean you're not off of it? I thought you were. She said, no, I'm still, they've reduced it. I'm gradually working to get off of it, but I'm still taking medication for high blood pressure, for hypertension. I was stunned because I had based everything I was doing on the belief, on the thinking, on the train of thought that, okay, here's somebody I know and love who's done it. I can do it. It's been done. It wasn't far fetched. She did it. I can do it. Come to find out, 2.5 years after the process, not only was she still on the medication, she hadn't done what I thought. Now, I don't know what I heard, and I don't know what I heard over the course of 2.5 years, but I operated from the belief that it was possible. I operated from the possibility that I was not going to be a statistic, and I was able to make it happen. Here's another fun fact about me. Just had my blood pressure checked last week. When I started the process, when I got on the medication, when they put me on the medication, blood pressure was 145 over 93 or 95 maybe. Now, as of last Wednesday, a week ago, last Thursday, it is now 109 over 73. So yeah, we have come down quite a bit, my folks. Friends, I am trying to get it back down to 106 over 76 is where I like to keep it. I'm at 109 over 73. So take that as a fact to use as you wish. Don't mind the cough, having a little something's going on here, but I'm in great health. Let's move on. Once again, belief. I believed it was possible, so I started moving as if was the case. Here's another fun fact, another belief. Years ago, I had a great job. I've had three jobs that I've really loved. One of them, I was working with the homeless population, and I was working with young people in the community college. I had a friend who I worked with, a coworker who was just insane, but in a good way. She was fun, right? I didn't know that you could have a day job, a 9 to 5 gig that had joy attached to it. You could be joyful at work. We used to have boogie breaks when things got stressful or things got a little too crazy. We put on some old 70s music and dance our little butts off, right? Or we would imitate Diana Ross from Mahogany and Latest Things of Blues. That was always good for a couple of laughs, right? I didn't know you could have joy at work. That wasn't a belief I was familiar with. Come to find out, you can. I had been looking for that ever since. That was in 2013, 2011, and 2013. Still looking for it, determined to have it in my life. You can have joy at work. Now, why am I mentioning beliefs so much? Because, dear listener, friends, you need to change beliefs to move into a new identity. Part of the reason we don't move forward in life, part of the reason we haven't achieved our goals is because we have an identity that says this isn't what I do, right? If my identity is black male and 50s means sick and sickly, and I got to be on medication, that's the identity I take on, right? I don't think anything else can be different. I got to switch that identity. Here's a fun fact, another one. I'm full of fun facts tonight. Here's a fun fact. When I decided to be a writer, I had to figure out I was a little unsure about what does that entail? What does that mean? And a very good friend of mine, a person who was close to me for 40 years, like a brother to me, said, "Well, you know what a writer does, don't you?" And I said, "No." He said, "A writer writes." I said, "Huh? Huh?" So then I realized, okay, in order to be a writer, I had to be someone who writes. So I started writing every day. Been almost 30 years, have not missed a day. Made myself into a writer. Same thing when I moved to New York. I wanted to be an actor. And I kept saying, well, how do you know, that wasn't my identity. I was scared. I didn't know how to do it. And I started asking people, well, how do you do that? And a friend of mine said, you get some headshots and call yourself an actor. I didn't know back in 97 that you claim that identity. You decide what your identity is going to be, not other people. Please, 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 the love of God and all that's holy. Do not let somebody else assign you an identity. They will assign you one that's this big, and they will keep you in a box to keep them happy. Here's the final piece of the puzzle, talking about people assigning you identities. When you get a new identity, you will automatically become a part of a new community. You will move into a new community. That is part of the hidden power. You will move into a community of folks, of like minded folks, people who think differently, people who move through the world differently. Excuse me, people who have different types of conversations. Don't worry about my health. I'm doing really well. Just having some sinus drainage, but we're going to get through it. You are going to find some people in you will find some people in a new community. You will find a new community. You will be a part of new communities. So here's an example. You know, when I was dating certain types of people, all their friends are the same type of person, right? I could figure out, well, how come everybody's always drunk? Why is everybody always high? That's who I was dating. Now I wasn't doing that. That's who I was choosing to date and surround myself with. So that's what the community that encouraged that kind of business was about. That's what I was in until I moved myself out of that community. If you want to hear more about communities and moving yourself into new communities, please, 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 by all means, check out a post I did, a podcast I did months ago called It's All About Coming About Those Cheap Seats, right? It's the 5 words that's keeping you from your ideal life. And the 5 words are cheap seats in the back. That's all I'm going to say. Check it out. All right. Now, I told you I had something really juicy for you at the end, and here it is. Here we go, boys and girls. Hold on to your wigs and your tubes. Here we go. I am going to be having a master class with my friend Alton Weeks in 2 weeks. Last name is Weeks. We're having a class. We're having a master class in 2 weeks on February 25th. It's going to be in the box above me. More information. It's a link to a Zoom conversation. It's not one you want to miss. Set your clocks, set your VCRs, whatever you got going on. You do not want to miss this. Alton Weeks is a wonderful man who lost 100 pounds, got off a bunch of medications, came back from a heart attack, and started a cold press juice company. The name of his company is Selful, C as in cat, E as in Edward, L as in love, F as in Frank, U as in under, L as in love, organics. The link is also in here to his website. Please, please, please join us on February 25th, which is 2 weeks from tonight at 7 p.m. It is a Zoom link. It is also in the box above. Get signed up today. We don't have a space for a million folks, but we love to have a million. Get signed up today and come join us February 25th, 2 weeks from today at 7 p.m. Myself and Alton are going to talk about what it means to be Black and male and older and healthy and have your health be an asset in this culture as opposed to a liability. All right, folks, I'm going to get out of here. Let all that soak in. I've given you a lot of great stuff for tonight. Now, me doing all this talking actually feel better. I might go up, and do whatever tonight. Who knows? I'm feeling a lot better. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant based lifestyle. Let me say that one more time for the cheap seats in the back. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, Good good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are on the planet. My name is Anthony Carter. I'm the host, producer, creative genius, madman, and brilliant mind behind a movement entitled That Plant Life, a movement dedicated to supporting Black men 40 to 60 who are committed to combating hypertension without the use of medication and the addition of a whole food plant-based lifestyle. Now you get out of here, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, let your loved ones take care of you. Stay away from that deep fried foolishness, get some plants on that plate and most importantly, eat like you got some sense. I will talk to you soon. Bye now.